Hello and welcome once again to WoW Training. This is Eagle Eye playing my Resto Druid, Falcon Eyes, and today I'm going to be talking about just healing in general. Now, I'll give you an idea. I'm a 673 item level Resto Druid with a nifty Sletmog. For those that are curious, that is the Warbear harness and the Warbear woolies and the Cenarian Spalders transmog, the Cenarian gloves and boots, I think, as well. Yeah, Cenarian gloves, Cenarian boots. So they're nice and golden, almost flesh toned. So looks pretty natural, like you're an actual druid, person of the forest. Anyway, the thing about healing in WoD that I've noticed, especially as a raid leader, is that you have to be aggressive. You have to be on top of it. You can't be a reactive healer in Warlords. Otherwise, you're just going to find yourself overhealing a lot because other healers are going to be, preempting you with their heals, and especially like Disc Priests and such. So you have to know the fights and know the mechanics of the fights and when damage is going to be coming out, especially on things like Orgorger, for example, when Acid Torrent comes out. You need to be preparing yourself to do that AoE heal. And by preparing, I mean you have to be doing a little mini rotation. But let me get into it as far as like Resto Druids are concerned. Resto Druids have little mini rotations that they do, or mini ability combos, I guess you would call them, where one combo feeds off another, or one ability feeds off another, which feeds off, maybe even a third. And it's all a synergy of different abilities. And it really all revolves around the fact that you are a healing over time class. You've always been a hot class as a Resto Druid, because rejuvenation is your primary heal. Combine that with Wild Growth, which was introduced, I believe, in Cataclysm, and you're leaving hots everywhere. Lifebloom, heal over time with a big old burst at the end. Even Regrowth, it's a direct heal, but it leaves a hot behind. So you're a hot class. You're not supposed to be doing direct healing. But while Blizzard wants you to do direct healing every once in a while to kind of mix it up, and that's evidenced by the description of your mastery. Now, mastery, Harmony, says, okay, your direct healing is always increased. And you have to understand, this is always. You are always going to have that direct healing bonus. Your direct healing is increased by an additional X%, right? Based on your mastery. And casting your direct healing spells grants you an additional X bonus to periodic healing, which is HOTS, heal over time, for 20 seconds. This is the most important thing to understand. Your bonus, your mastery bonus, lasts for 20 seconds. So, like, if I do a direct heal on, like, myself here, for Regrowth, you see I get this Harmony bonus, periodic healing increased by 27%, with so many seconds remaining, and I actually have it here as well, so I can keep track of it. This icon for my weak auras always wants to be up, right? And if I ever see it go down, then I'm doing something wrong. But it lasts for 20 seconds. So let's go into something else now. We want to keep that up all the time, so what counts as a direct heal? Well, the direct heals are Regrowth, Healing Touch, and Swift Mend. Swift Mend is a direct heal because it's not a heal over time. Anything that does a certain amount of healing right then when the cast is completed is a direct heal, right? So Healing Touch is a heal over time, or as a direct heal. Boom, procced my mastery. We just saw Regrowth do it. Well, cancel this off, and let's just see. Okay, guys, I got a Rejuve on there. Doesn't proc my mastery, but I Swift Mend myself, and boom, there's my mastery again, right? So, Swift Mend counts as a heal over time. Now, if you think about it, let's take a look. Soul of the Forest. When you cast Swift Mend, you gain Soul of the Forest. Soul of the Forest is something you want to use every chance you get. Swift Mend has a 15-second cooldown if you don't take Rampant Growth, which I don't recommend, and I'll get to that in a little bit. When you cast Swift Mend, you gain Soul of the Forest. Now, Soul of the Forest is a multi-purpose thing, and it depends on the situation and what you want to use it for. It modifies your Healing Touch, your Rejuve, your Regrowth, and your Wild Growth. Any of those four, the next one of those four things that you cast will be modified and consume the Soul of the Forest proc. So you can only use one of them. So you have to make a choice. Do I use it for my Healing Touch, or do I use it for my Regrowth, or do I use it for my Rejuve, or do I use it for my Wild Growth? It's very important you understand this. You never, ever want to use it for Healing Touch. Healing Touch is a shit spell. You never want to use it at all. And reducing the cast time of your Healing Touch just means you cast a shit heal 50% faster. You never, ever want to use it. So it's all based on the situation, and this is where the interesting choices thing comes into play. Sid Meier, the maker of SimCity and Civilization and everything, he said that gaming is nothing more than presenting the player with a series of interesting choices. And this couldn't be more true for Resto Druids. You do your Swiftmend on any target, you proc your Soul of the Forest, and your next spell is an interesting choice. Do I have AoE healing to do? If so, you're going to want to cast a Wild Growth. And this is where the synergies come into play. Wild Growth, if you have Glyph of Wild Growth... I had it, but I was going to replace it with something else, and I forgot. Glyph of Wild Growth, it can affect one additional target, but its cooldown is increased by 2 seconds. So 6 targets instead of just 5. I think we're waiting on one more healer for this group. So anyway, the Wild Growth hits 6 targets, and you'll notice that it's increasing the healing of Wild Growth by 50%. And if you notice that Wild Growth, it heals up to 6 injured allies within 30 yards of the target for X amount over 7 seconds. Healing starts high and declines over the duration. It actually starts at like 50% of the total amount is on the first tick, and then 25%, then 12%, then 8%, then whatever. And it's a huge surge, and it just tapers off really quick. So that initial burst of healing is essential. So like right now it says 20,000 over 7 seconds. If I proc my Swiftmend, now it's going to heal for 32k over 7 seconds, right? And it's going to heal 6 people for that amount over that 7 seconds. And so what that means is, if you do this little mini rotation, you got, like, let's say a big burst of damage, like Gruul is going to do an Inferno Slice. He starts casting Inferno Slice. You should already have a Rejuve on the target. He starts casting it, you Swiftmend, and just as the Inferno Slice goes off, boom, the Wild Growth pops, and now you're healing all of those people that just got Inferno Sliced. That's the key. You have to time those things for for the high burst damages, like Acid Torrent on Orgorger and such. Anytime there's AoE damage. The other thing you can use Soul of the Forest for is a Regrowth on the tank. Let's say there's no AoE damage going out, but the tank is getting rocked, and so you pop a Regrowth on the tank, and it's increased by 100%. Now, the reason why you want to do a Regrowth and not a Rejuvenation is because you'll just end up overhealing with the Rejuvenation, because by the time it's 50% more healing, but it's one of them, and a tank is going to get topped off, and you're just going to end up ticking overheals. So the only thing you really ever use Soul of the Forest for is Regrowth and Wild Growth, right? Anyway, here's the cool thing about Regrowth, and a lot of people don't even realize this. You hover over it and it says, heals a friendly target for blah, 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 and another blah, blah, blah over 12 seconds. Regrowth has a 60% increased chance for a critical effect. That's it. On top of your crit chance of, I don't have a crit buff right now. When I get raid buffed, I'm going to have a 15% chance to crit. So that means I have a 75% chance to crit a Regrowth, which means that if I have a 100% increased effect due to Soul of the Forest, and I crit, that's basically a quadruple Regrowth. That 17k is doubled and then doubled again. And I believe that the hot that's left behind is considered that crit as well, or it could just determine crits on a individually tick basis. I'm not entirely sure how that works. I don't really care about the hot at the end. The only reason I care about having the hot at the end is so that I have a heal over time on the target to pop a Swiftmend on. So, like, what I can do is, like, Regrowth myself, pop a Swiftmend, pop a Wild Growth. and that's a huge amount of healing all at the same time. The other thing is you want to have your mushroom on your bar, and you want to have your glyph of sprouting mushroom so you can target it. So it's like appropriately targeted, or placed in a room, like on Imperator. When you have your mines that go down, everyone's stacking here. You put down your mushroom so that the right side of it covers the stack. Then a new mine pops and everyone moves to the left side of the mushroom. And so you only have to put down one mushroom for a moving stack like that. That's just an example of how it's helpful. And so the little mini rotations overlap in kind of a Venn diagram sort of way. Of course, we have our Swiftmend Wild Growth, Rejuve, Swiftmend Wild Growth mini rotation. So it's like, I want to do a nice AoE heal to everyone. I'm going to Rejuve him, Swiftmend him, Wild Growth, and boom. There's your 6 targets getting hit by Wild Growth. The other little mini rotation where they overlap is your Lifebloom. You do Lifebloom, and it will proc clear casting like this. And I take Moment of Clarity for this reason. My rejuves tick for hard enough so that I don't need Germination anymore. If you're at lower item levels, you're going to want to take Germination so you can double rejuve people so that you actually have multiple ticks of rejuvenation on a target. But as you get higher up, you'll just notice that you don't even need multiple rejuves on a target anymore. They're ticking for hard enough, and you end up just overhealing if you do multiple ones on the same target, and you want to spread the love a little bit more rather than doubling up on any individual person. Rampant Growth removes the cooldown from Swiftmend, but that kind of screws up your timing of using, and you end up using Swiftmend way too much, I found. It's, oh man, I can Swiftmend everyone. I can Swiftmend, but it consumes the regrowth or rejuvenation, and you don't want to do that. Your regrowths and rejuvenations are far more powerful than your Swiftmends, and you shouldn't be doing that much emergency healing. So, the Swiftmend, the only purpose of it really is to proc your Soul of the Forest. It's a nice little light extra heal for the person you Swiftmend, but the real purpose of it is to proc your Soul of the Forest. So the only other option is Moment of Clarity, and this is really powerful. So imagine this. You Lifebloom someone, you get a clear casting proc, and there it goes. Now you have 7 seconds. Regrowth. Oh, hey, I just procced it again. All of these are free. Every single one of these are free. There's 2 clear casting procs in a row. I can regrowth over and over and over and over and over, and then Swiftmend and Wild Growth. And the really cool thing is with Soul of the Forest, you could actually proc a clear cast, regrowth, use the hot from the regrowth to Swiftmend to proc a Soul of the Forest proc, and then do another regrowth. That's free because your clear casting is still up. Your Moment of Clarity. And because your Moment of Clarity is up and your Soul of the Forest is up, your next regrowth is free and a guaranteed 100% bonus, and you crit with that, and it's like a free quadruple regrowth, and oh my god, you don't have to spend mana on that at all. So the way you play with Moment of Clarity is, now, okay, it lasts 7 seconds. With enough haste, you're going to end up having a huge amount of... you could actually pop, 3 or 4, at least, free regrowths. Always do one of those, one of the 3 on the person with Lifebloom, usually a tank. And what that means is your Lifebloom is refreshed. You want to use the last one to refresh it if possible. But let's say your clear casting procs and Lifebloom only has 3 seconds left. Okay, use your regrowth on the to refresh that Lifebloom. The important thing is you refresh the Lifebloom, so you're because Lifebloom is just a nice little rolling hot. You don't care about the bloom at the end necessarily. You're more interested in getting the free regrowths when you when clear casting procs. The whole purpose is Lifebloom is not the heals; it's the mana savings from Moment of Clarity. Dream of Cenarius is another great one. One thing a lot of people don't realize is if you hover over Wrath here, you'll notice that, oh yeah, Wrath, solar, 40-yard range, 1.7 or 6/7 cast. Wait a second. Where's the mana cost? Holy shit. There is no mana cost. There's no mana cost. There's no mana cost on Wrath. Holy crap, there's no mana cost. What am I going to do with that? Well, Dream of Cenarius increases Wrath damage by 20%. Now, it's already rolled into the tooltip here, so it normally is like 11k or 10.5, so that extra 20% is rolled into there, 13.9k, right? And causes a nearby ally to be healed for 150% of the damage done, including multi-strikes. So, if you figure 14k heal, that's another 7k on top of that, that's going to be a 21k heal, and your multi-strikes as well, you can multi-strike quite a bit. I've during the initial burst phase of a fight like this, where there's not much healing to go out, and all that, I can wrath spam for like all of heroism and heal for 25k, 30k HPS without spending any mana. So I end up with 100% mana at the beginning of the fight. 1 full minute into the fight, I'm still at 100% mana. It's crazy. So there's that. The other ones that I pick are Typhoon and Incapacitating Roar. I take these because of the CC and interruptibility. Incapacitating Roar is far superior to Mighty Bash. You have no idea how many Resto Druids I see that take Mighty Bash, and it's like 50-second cooldown, and you get to stun one person. And so what? I'd rather take something with a 30-second cooldown that stuns all enemies within 10 yards for 3 seconds. Granted, spell damage or any damage cancels the effect, but that's not what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in them being stunned for 3 seconds. I'm interested in them being stunned at all. Basically, it's a nice little reset. If you have a bunch of different mobs all casting and you can stun all of them, that's like 5 interrupts at once sometimes. And it's on a 30-second cooldown, so it's a lower cooldown, stuns more people, and who cares if they stay stunned or not? All I care about is interrupting that that cast that they're doing. Typhoon is very helpful for it's actually a damage mitigation. I got my Proving Grounds gold by realizing Incapacitating Roar and Typhoon were actually damage reduction cooldowns for me to use. If you have a bunch of mobs beating on a tank and you're standing right there with the tank, you can knock them back and then they have to walk back to the tank. So that's extra time that you have 3 or 4 or 5 or 8 mobs that are no longer beating on the tank, and it gives you time to catch up on your heals, it gives your hots time to tick, and prevents damage. It's almost like reverse kiting. The tank doesn't have to kite them, you're just knocking them away. On a fight like Korog, the 6th boss in High Mall, it really helps for when you have those adds that spawn during his vulnerability phase. You can knock them back into the suppression fields. So it's great for repositioning mobs and getting them away from you, or putting them where they belong, or getting them away from the tank to prevent damage. All of those things are very important. I don't care about mass entanglement. That's a lot of things are immune to that anyway. And it's not very often you want to stop things where they are. You'd rather just knock them away. So anyway, Ysera's Gift is a no-brainer. It's a passive heal. It heals you if you're damaged, and if now I should probably take Displacer Beast, to be honest with you, but anyway, we're gonna do this now. And oh, by the way, BLCD lock, right? This is Blood Legion cooldown / BLCD lock allows you to move it. I needed to I needed to lock it there. This shows all the different cooldowns that you have. We have a Devo Aura, we have a Powered Barrier, we have a Pain Suppression, a Spirit Shell, we have Tranquility. Tranquility, Ironbark, and 1 Rebirth are mine. The Stampeding Roar is mine. Spirit Link Totem, 2 Healing Tide Totems. All of those things are important. But this allows a healer to see all the other healing cooldowns in the raid, and I think it's very important all healers have it. BLCD, Blood Legion cooldown. So anyway, we're going to actually fight now that I've been talking for 20 minutes and waiting for this raid to get going. But I hope you can see where I'm at with all of these heals, and I'm just going to show you how I operate. Oh, the other thing that I have is I have decursive here. Alt, holding down Alt allows you to move the decursive bar just like that. And I have Healbot, and what I have is only 4 spells or 5 spells I use on Healbot. Left is Lifebloom, right is Rejuve. If I hold down Shift, left is Swiftmend, right is Regrowth, and if I hold down Alt, right is Ironbark. That's kind of my damage reduction cooldown that's targeted. The only 5 things that are actually targeted on players. So we're gonna see this. Watch how I work here. Put down that. I'm gonna pop an Intellect pot to pre-pot and Wrath, and you'll see my healing current fight. I'm already doing 23k HPS. Oh, he's out of range now. Yeah, it was only 16k because he kept on going out of range. Put down a new thing there. Okay. Now I'm going to start rolling my normal rotation. Swiftmend, Wild Growth. You see I'm hitting all these people. Now, I'll always be casting. I'm wrath spamming as long as I need to. I'm going to let my Lifebloom pop. And use up my clear casting to, I'm still at 100% mana. Ironbark him. That's something I notice a lot of people just don't do. They don't Ironbark very often. They think they save it way too much. I mean, it's a 1-minute cooldown. Why is that guy dying so quick? He was standing in shit. That's the other thing you need to realize is that people stand in shit. And in this expansion, you can't allow that. Rebirth the tank. Put out a rebuff for the tank. Swiftmend, Wild Growth, because there's healing to be done. See, and right now I'm only doing 24k heals. But I don't really need to do much. Is anyone else going to use... Yeah, there's no need for a raid-wide cooldown there, because I can spam regrowths everywhere. I'm going to save my tranquility for the next firestorm, I think. Now is a good time to be channeling mana. So, channeling that. It's all good.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I have more friends for you to meet.
More friends for you to meet. I really need to be better about getting my mushroom down. That's for sure. I know that's something I know I have a problem with. See, if you see a tank go down like that all of a sudden down to below 25%, you want to get that Ironbark on him right away. Oh, some slows on the Cinderwolf would be nice. And it would be really nice if tanks didn't bury themselves in corners. See, and this is the thing about the healing model in WoD is basically one where if people do what they're supposed to do, then they won't die. If people don't do what they're supposed to do, then they will. You can have all the healing in the world, but someone dying in 1.5 seconds, where no one has that reaction time. I'm sorry. And I'm curious about this warrior, his shield barrier usage, how much of it actually is there. God damn these swords! I hate how they wander around on you and they make it... Yeah. These tanks are idiots. They're tanking them the wrong way or something. I don't know exactly what's happening. But anyway, I was doing 33.8k. See, now it's going down. See, this is another thing you need to realize about. I roll SCADA and Recount both, because see how SCADA has me going down in total HPS, 30.9k. This is 33.8. This is based on how long I'm alive. See, this is still going down based on how long the fight's going on, right? So when people link healing meters on a wipe, you need to realize that the healing done is being divided by the total length of time that the boss was, or the fight was going on in SCADA, but in Recount it's based on how long you are active, your alive time. You can actually see here. That doesn't make any sense. Time 37.21 seconds. Yeah, that's weird. Or maybe, oh, that's okay. Overall data. Current fight. Anyway, the point is that, they have different denominators in, for their calculations, right? Something to look at, like Wild Growth, Rejuve, Tranquility, Wild Mushroom, Lifebloom. All of these are HOTS. None of these are direct heals. Dream of Cenarius, that's my Wrath spam, actually healed for more than Regrowth did. Ysera's Gift is entirely in the background. Swift Mend is just a passive thing. So yeah. That's basically how you do it. I'm probably not going to record much more. I don't want to take up too much time hoping for an actual kill. But yeah, that's once you get set up, and I told you the reasoning for all of it. But once you get set up with everything, you're essentially just spamming rejuves, wrath spamming if you're trying to decide what else to do, or if no one needs any direct intervention of any kind, like a regrowth or a rejuve on them. And when big heals are or when raid wide heals are needed, swift mend, wild growth. When a big heal on a direct heal is needed to be done, you have Swift Mend and then Regrowth. And yeah, that's how you roll to your way to victory. Let me see, I'm actually going to... I have my Warcraft logs rolling here, so let me just check out the that wipe and see what the actual analysis was. Oh, there's not going to be rankings because it wasn't a kill, so they don't rank people that don't get kills. But yeah, avoidable damage, that was a huge problem. So yeah, that's all I got for you on the as far as this is concerned. I hope you've learned something, and any commentary, please let me know.